There are moments in life when the air itself seems to change, when the familiar weight of yesterday no longer fits the shoulders of today, and the soul senses, quietly at first, then unmistakably, that it has been standing too long at the edge of something new. God often speaks in such moments not with thunder or spectacle, but with a persistent stirring that refuses to be ignored. You may call it restlessness, dissatisfaction, or even holy discomfort, but beneath it all is a divine whisper saying that the season you have known has done its work, and the time has come to move. Not because you have failed, and not because God has grown impatient with you, but because growth itself demands motion. A tree that never stretches its roots will eventually wither, even if the soil was once rich. God is not careless with seasons. He does not rush winter away before it has hardened the roots, nor does he delay spring once the soil is ready to break open. When he speaks of moving you into the next season, it is because something in you has been prepared to receive what could not be carried before. Many people misunderstand this, imagining that a new season must always feel exciting or obvious. In truth, it often begins with a gentle unease toward what once felt safe. The prayers you used to pray no longer satisfy you. The answers that once sustained you now feel too small. This is not ingratitude, it is evidence of expansion. God is stretching the inner capacity of your faith so it can hold more truth, more responsibility, and more grace. You see, God rarely removes us from a season the moment it becomes uncomfortable. If he did, we would learn nothing but avoidance. Instead, he allows the discomfort to deepen until we are willing to trust him beyond our habits. The Israelites did not leave Egypt merely because it was hard. They left when the promise of freedom became stronger than the fear of the unknown. In the same way, God may be allowing you to feel the limits of where you are so that you will finally look beyond them. The walls you keep pressing against are not there to crush you, but to show you that you were never meant to live in such a narrow place forever. As 2026 approaches, many will speak of resolutions, strategies, and plans, but God is speaking of alignment. A new season is not simply about doing new things, it is about becoming the kind of person who can walk faithfully into what God has already prepared. Before he changes your surroundings, he often changes your sight. He teaches you to see differently so that when the door opens, you recognize it as an invitation rather than a threat. That is why the process can feel slow. God is not stalling, he is refining your perception so that you do not misinterpret blessing as burden or growth as loss. It is important to understand that God's call to move forward does not always come with detailed instructions. More often, it comes with a call to trust. He tells Abraham to go without showing him the map. He tells Peter to step out of the boat without guaranteeing the depth of the water. Faith, after all, is not the absence of uncertainty, but the decision to obey in its presence. If God were to explain everything in advance, we would rely on understanding instead of dependence. And dependence, not certainty, is the soil in which faith truly grows. Perhaps you have been waiting for a dramatic sign, a clear voice, or an unmistakable miracle. Yet God has been speaking through smaller, steadier means. Through doors that no longer open, conversations that no longer nourish you, and paths that once made sense but now feel strangely empty. These are not coincidences, they are indicators. God is slowly withdrawing your appetite for what is familiar so that you will hunger for what is next. When you stop enjoying what once sustained you, it may be because God is preparing you for a different kind of nourishment. Do not mistake this transition for rejection. When God calls you forward, he is not dismissing your past, he is building upon it. Every lesson, every wound, every victory has been quietly shaping you for what lies ahead. The next season is not a replacement of who you were, but a revelation of who you are becoming, and becoming always involves leaving something behind, not because it was evil, but because it has fulfilled its purpose. A seed must let go of its form to become a tree, and in the same way, you may be asked to release identities, expectations, or even relationships that can no longer grow with you. There is also the fear that comes with movement. We fear making the wrong choice, disappointing others, or stepping into a future we cannot control. Yet control has never been the foundation of faith. God does not invite you into the next season because it is safe by human standards, but because it is alive with His presence. Safety can exist without God, but life cannot. And it is life, abundant, purposeful life, that He desires for you. The risk you feel is not a sign of danger, but of significance. God often waits until our strength reaches its limit before He invites us forward, not to humiliate us, but to ensure that we do not carry pride into a place that requires humility. When you are tired of striving, exhausted from maintaining appearances, and weary of pretending that everything is fine, you are closer to the next season than you realize. God is not asking you to bring your perfection forward. He is asking you to bring your trust. The weakness you fear will disqualify you is often the very thing that keeps you dependent on Him. There is a subtle difference between waiting on God and hiding behind waiting. One is an act of faith, the other is an act of fear disguised as wisdom. God's timing is perfect, but it is not passive. When He says it is time to move, delay becomes disobedience, even if it feels responsible. You may feel unready, underprepared, or unsure, but readiness in the kingdom of God is not measured by confidence, it is measured by obedience. The step itself becomes the preparation. As you stand on the threshold of 2026, God is not merely turning a calendar page. He is inviting you into a deeper participation in His purposes. This next season may require you to pray differently, listen more carefully, and surrender more fully. It may strip away certain comforts so that you can learn to rest in Him rather than in outcomes. And yes, there may be loss involved, because every genuine beginning contains an ending. But God does not waste endings. He uses them to clear space for what could not exist before. You may notice that the old patterns no longer work. The coping mechanisms, the routines, even the prayers that once carried you through are losing their effectiveness. This is not a spiritual failure. It is a spiritual signal. God is inviting you to mature beyond what once sustained you. Just as a child eventually outgrows milk and must learn to eat solid food, so too does the soul outgrow certain seasons of faith. The discomfort you feel is not starvation, but transition. Remember that God moves you forward not only for your sake, but for the sake of others. The next season is rarely just about personal fulfillment. It is about wardship. There are people you have not yet met, prayers you have not yet answered, and purposes you have not yet imagined that depend on your willingness to move. When you stay where you are out of fear, you are not only delaying your own growth, but withholding something God intends to give through you. It is tempting to romanticize the past, especially when the future feels uncertain. We remember the good moments more vividly than the hard ones, and nostalgia can masquerade as wisdom. But God does not call you backward. He may remind you of where you have been to show you how far you have come, but His voice always leads forward. The pillar of fire never moved in reverse, and neither does the grace that guides you now. If you listen closely, you may hear God asking not what you want to leave behind, but what you are willing to trust Him with. The next season often requires a deeper surrender than the last. What once felt like a sacrifice may soon feel like freedom, but only if you are willing to release it. God does not pry things from our hands. He invites us to open them. And when we do, we often discover that what we feared losing was never meant to define us. This movement into the next season will not erase your questions. Faith does not eliminate questions. It teaches us to carry them without letting them paralyze us. You may step forward with unanswered prayers still echoing in your heart. God is not offended by that. He is more concerned with your direction than with your certainty. Obedience, even with trembling hands, honors Him more than confidence rooted in self-reliance. Do not expect everyone to understand this transition. Some people are comfortable with who you were, because who you were fit neatly into their expectations. When you change, it unsettles the roles they assigned you. This does not mean you are wrong, it means you are growing. God's approval does not always come with human applause. Often it comes with quiet assurance that you are walking where He has led, even if the path feels lonely at times. As God calls you into what is next, He is also teaching you to listen differently. The louder voices of fear and doubt may still speak, but they no longer have to decide your direction. God's voice is often steady rather than urgent, gentle rather than forceful. It invites rather than coerces. Learning to recognize it requires stillness, and stillness often feels uncomfortable in a world addicted to noise. Yet it is in that stillness that you begin to sense where He is leading, not with pressure, but with peace that persists even when circumstances are unclear. This next season may not look like success as the world defines it. It may involve obscurity, patience, or unseen faithfulness. But God measures success differently. He looks for obedience, humility, and love. He values the formation of your character more than the visibility of your achievements. If He is leading you into a season that seems smaller or quieter, it may be because He is doing a deeper work, one that cannot be rushed or displayed. You are not late. You are not behind. God's timing is not governed by human calendars, even when He uses them as markers. The invitation to move now is not a rebuke for delay, but a recognition that the moment has ripened. Fruit picked too early is bitter, and fruit picked too late is spoiled. God knows exactly when to say now, and when He does, it is because what He has been growing in secret is ready to be brought into the open. So pay attention to the nudges you have been ignoring, the prayers that keep returning, and the sense that staying where you are requires more effort than moving forward. These are not signs of instability, they are signs of invitation. God is not asking you to run recklessly into the future, but to walk faithfully into what He has already gone ahead to prepare. And as you take that step, you may find that the fear you expected is accompanied by a strange and steady assurance, one that tells you that even if the path is unfamiliar, the one who walks with you is not, and that as you move into this next season, what you thought you were leaving behind may actually be giving way to something far greater, something that will require you to see yourself, your faith, and your purpose in a way you have not yet fully understood, because the journey itself is still unfolding and God, in His quiet and deliberate way, is continuing to speak, to guide and to prepare you for what lies just beyond the edge of your current understanding, where trust must deepen, where obedience must be chosen again and again, and where the next step, though still unseen, is already waiting for your willingness to take it, even as your heart learns to listen more closely for the gentle assurance that this movement is not an ending, but the beginning of something that will ask more of you than comfort, more of you than familiarity, and more of you than you have yet imagined, as God continues to draw you forward into a season that is still taking shape in ways that resist haste and defy simple explanation. Because God has never been interested in hurried transformations that leave the soul shallow and untested. What He is doing now is deeper, slower, and far more enduring. He is teaching you how to walk without constantly needing reassurance, how to trust without demanding evidence, and how to obey without negotiating the terms. This is the quiet strength of mature faith, the kind that does not collapse when emotions fluctuate or circumstances shift unexpectedly. In this next season, God may reduce certain supports you once leaned on, not because they were wrong, but because they have become substitutes for trust. When He removes a crutch, it can feel like abandonment, but it is often an act of confidence. God is saying, in effect, that you are stronger than you think, not in yourself, but in Him. The ground beneath you may feel less predictable, yet His presence remains constant, steady beneath every uncertain step. Faith that has never been tested may be enthusiastic, but faith that has been tested becomes anchored. There will be moments when you look back and wonder if you misunderstood His voice, especially when the path grows steep or lonely. This doubt is not proof that you are wrong, it is part of the refining process. God allows such questions to surface so that your trust can move from feeling to conviction. Feelings rise and fall like tides, but conviction settles deep in the soul, unmoved by surface storms. As you continue forward, you will notice that even your doubts are being reshaped, turning from obstacles into invitations to seek God more honestly. The next season may require you to forgive what you once hoped would change, to release expectations that were never meant to be fulfilled in the way you imagined. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as forgetting or excusing, but in truth it is an act of surrender. It is choosing to stop carrying what God never asked you to bear indefinitely. When He invites you into something new, He also invites you to travel lighter. Old resentments, unmet desires, and lingering disappointments become heavy baggage on a journey that requires freedom of movement. God's work in you will not always be visible to others. In fact, much of the most important growth happens in hidden places, where there is no applause and no immediate reward. This can be discouraging if you are accustomed to measuring progress by recognition or results. Yet God sees what others cannot. He sees the quiet victories, the unseen obedience, the prayers whispered when no one is listening. These moments are not wasted. They are the foundation of what will one day stand in the open. You may also find that your priorities begin to shift. Things that once consumed your energy now seem strangely unimportant, while matters you once overlooked begin to carry greater weight. This reordering is not accidental. God is aligning your heart with His purposes, teaching you to value what lasts rather than what impresses. Such alignment can feel unsettling at first, especially when it sets you apart from the expectations of those around you. But it is in this very difference that your calling becomes clearer. As you move further into this season, you may experience moments of profound clarity followed by stretches of silence. Do not mistake silence for absence. God often speaks most deeply when He says little, allowing space for reflection, growth, and discernment. Silence teaches you to listen not only for words, but for presence. It trains your heart to recognize God not just in answers, but in companionship. The ability to remain faithful in silence is a mark of spiritual maturity. There will be opportunities in this season that look promising on the surface but lack peace at the core. Discernment becomes essential now. Not every open door is a God door, and not every delay is a denial. God's guidance is consistent with His character. It will not contradict the truth He has already revealed, nor will it require you to compromise integrity for progress. Learning to say no to good things is sometimes necessary to say yes to the right thing. You may also encounter resistance, both internal and external. Internally, old fears may resurface, whispering that you are unqualified or unworthy. Externally, circumstances may challenge your resolve, testing whether your obedience is conditional or absolute. God does not shield you from these pressures. He uses them to strengthen your resolve. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to reaffirm your trust, to choose faith again even when it would be easier to retreat. In this season, prayer may feel different. You may find yourself speaking less and listening more, learning to sit with God rather than constantly petitioning Him. This shift is not a sign that your needs no longer matter, but that your relationship is deepening. Prayer becomes less about changing God's mind and more about aligning your heart with His will. In this alignment, you may discover answers that were not spoken aloud but quietly formed within you. God may also lead you to unexpected places, environments that stretch your comfort and challenge your assumptions. Growth often requires exposure to perspectives that unsettle us, not to confuse us, but to refine us. God is not threatened by your questions. He welcomes them, knowing that honest inquiry can lead to deeper understanding. What He resists is complacency, the refusal to grow beyond what is familiar simply because it is comfortable. As you continue forward, you may notice a growing sense of responsibility, not burdensome, but purposeful. God entrusts more to those who have proven faithful with little. This responsibility may not come with titles or recognition, but with influence, quiet influence that shapes lives and redirects paths. Stewardship in the kingdom is often subtle, exercised through consistency rather than spectacle. Maybe days when you long for the simplicity of earlier seasons, when faith felt uncomplicated and decisions felt clearer. Such longing is natural, but it should not anchor you. God does not call you to live on memories, but on promise. The past can teach and encourage, but it cannot sustain what God is doing now. Each season carries its own grace, sufficient for the challenges it brings. In moments of weariness, remember that movement does not always mean acceleration. Sometimes moving forward means learning to rest without guilt, to pause without fear, trusting that God is at work even when you are still. Rest is not the opposite of faith, it is an expression of it. Choosing to rest is choosing to believe that God's purposes do not depend solely on your effort. As 2026 unfolds, you may begin to see small confirmations of God's leading, subtle affirmations that you are on the right path. These confirmations are gifts, not guarantees. They encourage without eliminating the need for trust. God gives just enough light for the next step, not the entire journey, so that you remain dependent on Him rather than on foresight. You may also be called to encourage others who are standing where you once stood, uncertain and hesitant. Your experience becomes a testimony, not because everything turned out as you expected, but because God proved faithful in ways you did not anticipate. Sharing your journey honestly, without embellishment or pretense, can offer hope to those who believe they are alone in their uncertainty. In this season, obedience may require patience more than action, faithfulness more than achievement. Waiting, when guided by God, is not wasted time. It is active trust, a decision to remain open and responsive rather than forcing outcomes. God works in waiting hearts, shaping desires, clarifying motives, and strengthening resolve. You may find that your definition of success continues to evolve. Where once you measured progress by speed or scale, you now value depth and authenticity. This shift reflects God's priorities, which favor faithfulness over fame, substance over show. Such a perspective may feel countercultural, but it aligns you with a kingdom that operates by different stand. Odds. As you walk forward, remember that God's guidance is relational, not mechanical. He does not simply program directions and expect compliance. He walks with you, attentive to your responses, patient with your missteps. When you stumble, He does not withdraw the invitation. He helps you rise and continue. Grace does not excuse stagnation, but it empowers perseverance. There will be lessons in this season that only experience can teach. No amount of preparation can replace the wisdom gained through lived obedience. God values this kind of wisdom because it transforms not just behavior, but character. The person you are becoming matters more than the tasks you complete. You may also become more aware of your limitations, not as failures, but as boundaries that keep you dependent on God. Acknowledging limits is an act of humility, and humility creates space for grace. God's strength is most evident where our capacity ends, where reliance on Him becomes not optional but essential. As this season continues to unfold, you may sense that God is inviting you to trust Him with outcomes, releasing the need to control results. Control often masquerades as responsibility, but true responsibility lies in obedience. When you focus on faithfulness, God attends to fruitfulness. The burden of outcome belongs to Him, not to you. There will be moments of joy, unexpected and profound, arising not from circumstances, but from alignment with God's will. This joy does not depend on ease or success. It flows from knowing you are where you are meant to be. It is quieter than excitement, deeper than happiness, and far more enduring. As you continue walking into this next season, the journey itself becomes a teacher, revealing truths you could not have learned otherwise. God uses the path as much as the destination, shaping you with each step, each choice, each surrender, and even no. As you move forward with questions still unanswered and hope still forming, God remains attentive, guiding, sustaining, and preparing you for what lies ahead, for the next layer of growth, the next invitation to trust, the next moment when faith will be required to choose movement over comfort, obedience over familiarity, and trust over certainty, as the unfolding journey continues, asking of you not perfection, but willingness, not complete understanding, but faithful attention. And as you listen, you may begin to sense that even this season, with all its complexity and quiet demands, is only part of a larger story still being written. And so, as this moment settles into your spirit, let it be understood that God's invitation into the next season is not a demand for haste, nor a threat of being left behind, but a loving call to trust him more deeply than before. You are not stepping into uncertainty alone, you are stepping into a future already held in his hands. What lies ahead may not be fully visible, but it is fully known to God, who has accounted for your weakness, your questions, and your fears, and still calls you forward. The same grace that carried you through past seasons will meet you here, sufficient for each step, faithful in every turn. So move with humility, with courage that leans on him, and with a heart willing to be shaped rather than merely comforted. Let go of what has completed its purpose. Receive what this new season requires, and walk forward not because you have mastered path, but because you trust the one who leads you. For when God says it is time, obedience becomes peace, surrender becomes strength, and the future, though unseen, becomes a place where faith is no longer only believed, but lived.